Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year's Eve. So today is also a Buddhist holiday, which is Joyae. Does everyone know what that means? No? Okay, good, because I also looked it up on the internet. So the service is to express our gratitude for the past year and reflect on the interdependency of all life. Also, at the conclusion of the service, we will ring the bell 108 times, and by striking the kancho, we symbolically ring out our 108 passions and delusions. So as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we recognize that it's not possible to be free of these passions, though the bell ringing does help us to be mindful of them. So thank you, Hompo Honganji of Hawaii. They had a great explanation on their website. But today is not just the end of a new year, it is the end of, or excuse me, it's not the beginning of a new year, it's the beginning of a new decade, right? So 2020, whole nother new decade. And I was looking into other like Japanese things to talk about, and I had this wonderful talk planned about the meaning of furoshiki, you know, like the stuff you wrap stuff in. And then Michelle told me, that's stupid, don't do that. So I changed, and instead I'm gonna talk about the Kardashians. So I saw this interesting article online while I was scrolling through the internet, and it was looking at them at the beginning of the decade versus the end of the decade. So here's Kim. I guess this picture really doesn't look like super different, right? But also, I'm not like doing this to make fun of them. It's just interesting to see how different they are. I mean, this is all courtesy of Cosmopolitan. If you want to read the article later, you can Google it. Here's Courtney. She had like all her kids in the last 10 years. Do people follow the Kardashians? No, not. Does anyone know who these people are? Yeah, okay. One of them was married to Kanye? Yeah, okay. Here's Chloe. She's not married to Kanye. She was in a relationship with all right, anyway. This one's Kendall. So she looks pretty different, right? Probably more than the rest of the other ones, except for maybe Kylie. No. I don't know. I tried. I went from Furoshiki. I thought this would be a crowd pleaser, but. All right, the last one, Chris. All right, that one's kind of transcends like generations, right? Because she was part of the OJ thing, and no? All right. Okay. So, maybe you cared about that, maybe not, but there was like a difference, right, between the beginning of the decade and the end of the decade, and I thought that was kind of a funny thing, so I tried to figure out how to do it, you know, if I could do it with myself. So, my name does not start with a K, and it was hard to make that work. I don't know, is there a big difference? Yeah. There's another one where I look like really young, but I'm doing something stupid in it, so I didn't have that one. Anyway, so when we have these pictures of us from, 10 years ago, I think it's pretty easy to see that we're different people, especially like physically we can see it. It's hard to see from year to year, but even so, every year I feel like there's a lot of people that like to say, new year, new me, right? Does everyone get all the people saying that? No? Yeah? Just me? Some people, okay. I don't know, I just have a lot of basic people in my timeline, I guess. So we have new year, new me, but this isn't a new year, new me. It would be new decade, new me, which has been the new thing going around, and everyone likes to say that. And I think at the heart of it, this is kind of a Buddhist message where, like we have this new kind of person that happens every so often, right? It kind of, we're able to have a new person when we think about it, that I am this person that's different than the beginning of the year, the beginning of the decade. But to really make it truly Buddhist, I think, we have to take it to the very core, and it's actually new moment, new me. Every single moment, we are a different person. There can be something that happens at any time in our lives where it changes us forever. But the reality is that our entire life is made up of different moments. And all of these moments are constantly these new persons that we can become. So really what that means is that we have a new opportunity every single moment. So I think that everyone during the year end, right, we have these New Year's resolutions and stuff, and this whole idea of New Year, New Me is that this is the year that I'm going to start doing all the things that I want to do or I'm going to change. And then even more so in this new decade, it's this huge opportunity for me to change everything. But really, there's no excuses. There's no excuses for a new you. Every single moment is an opportunity. We don't have to wait for a year or a decade or any specific kind of a milestone for us to change who we are. Every single moment is an opportunity for us to change and become a better person. So tying that into this Joy A service, we have the 108 rings, right? And everyone knows that's for the blind passions. And as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, as I mentioned earlier, we recognize that no matter what, we're going to have these blind passions. In other forms of Buddhism, the symbolism is that we're getting rid of them, we can fear ourselves, but we believe that even up until the moment that we pass away, we are going to have these blind passions. But that's okay. So no matter how we try, we will absolutely fail. That if we try to be a new person, try to be better, if we try to do anything, ultimately, we're going to fail at it. But that's okay, because we are still illumined by Amida's light. And this is kind of a tricky metaphor to understand. They say this all the time because supposedly it was easier to understand maybe hundreds of years ago. I think it just confuses people now. But this idea that we're always illumined by Amida's light ultimately means that failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, and this time more intelligently. So these are words of Henry Ford, which I'm borrowing for this service. But this idea that even though we fail, we're illumined by Amida's light means that even though we fail, it's still this opportunity for us to get up and try again. This time, of course, more intelligently, right? If we fail, if we don't learn from it, then we just end up in this cycle where we're repeating the same mistakes. But if we can learn from them, if we can start again and this time more intelligently try again to whatever it is that our endeavors are, then that's what it means to live with these blind passions. To instead of succumbing to them, instead of crying about it, instead of complaining about it, we live with them. We understand that they're a part of who we are, and because of that, we try. We know we're going to fail, but regardless, we try, and we continue to get up and try again, this time a little bit, maybe a little smarter. Hopefully, I don't know. Sometimes it takes us 2 or 3 times. I know for me, it takes a couple. Can't always get it the next one. But eventually, we'll get where it is that we need to be. So understanding that, I hope everyone has a wonderful new year, a wonderful 2020, has a wonderful, I don't know, decade, century maybe, if you can make it that long. But whatever it is, if you can understand that every single moment is an opportunity for us to fail, for us to try again and do it again even better, then we'll be living a life within Amida's light. If you could please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.